Welcome to MQOA Sunday. My name is Steven Antonio. I am your co-host with Margot Morin. And we are here with two special guests. Returning is Christine Williams.
She came back.
I did.
In a different spot,
So
too.
it can't be that scary.
No.
Yeah, and we have a new new guest, excuse me.
I'll do whatever you want me to do here.
You're instantly promoted to host
Taking
over.
status.
Cindy Johnson, welcome. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you
and being with
for
us
the
today.
invitation.
Hey.
And we're excited.
Yeah, real
We're excited.
people.
Yes.
So exciting.
Yes.
What we're doing here, in case you don't know, I hope someone told you.
A little bit.
We call it MQOA Sunday, and it's just a kitchen table kind of casual conversation around the Sunday gospel. So if you're watching us on Sunday morning, we are manning the chat box. So we'd love to hear from you.
Yep.
Love to hear just sort of your general impressions about the scripture, but also prayer requests, questions you have. Bring them. We love it. We love it all.
Yeah, and if you listen to listening to this audio, please rate and review us so
That's
that we can share it
right.
with more people. So there's a live action on Sunday, but if you want to take this on in your car between work, you can. And
Nice.
you can find that on all major podcasting websites.
That's right. Which is what I do all week. I just listen to my
Mute
own
yourself.
voice.
You're like, who's that? What a great voice.
She's got style. She's got grace.
What's that from?
I don't even know. That's
Great.
the theme song. She's got style.
It's
Nope.
not Reba.
The nanny.
Viewer,
The
is it?
nanny.
Should I be embarrassed now?
No,
you're
no.
right.
That I know random
No, I
trivia.
think you're right.
No, I'm right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
I heard that you do a great nanny impression,
I don't.
Margo. Oh,
No. You heard wrong.
We've talked about Reba around this table
That's true.
in other episodes, and now this is the nanny. We'll just
We
make
have
a
a
list.
theme.
Keep the
Yep.
theme going.
I like it. Okay, so beta is the plan that we use, which is our small group process here in the parish. Anyone can do it anytime. You can have a group by grabbing a friend or 12 and bringing them together and using this plan, which is on our website. It's also being shared right now with you in the notes section if you're watching, or on our website, mqoa.org/beta, right?
Yes.
And you can download the plan. There's a printable version. There's an online version. You can follow along. You really can't do beta wrong, because it's really just, what do you think about this? How, listening to the stories of the Gospels that maybe you've heard several times before in your life, hundreds of times
Mhm.
before, just to give you kind of a fresh look at it. So every beta lesson starts with icebreaker questions. And we're going to let you go ask. I'm sorry about that. Now is a PG podcast. I'm sorry. We're going to let you go last because we'll give you time to think. And then
It's a
we
hard
want to,
question.
yeah, it's a math question. It's straight from the SATs. No, but we'll give you a little time to
Okay.
ease in. We'll let you break your ice before we start. Oh gosh, here we go. Ready? Here's the icebreaker questions for this week. Tell us your name, who your favorite teacher was or is, and where you go when you want to get away from it all.
Mm. Okay.
You got one, Christine?
Sure.
Okay.
So my name's Christine Williams, but we already covered that. My favorite teacher was Mrs. Legier, who was my art teacher all through high school, who ran like the little sanctuary for the art nerds. And right? And,
Sanctuary for
Mhm.
Art Nerds.
Was she French?
I presume that
Yeah,
she
that
might have
Sounds
been.
like a French name.
Yeah. And then when I want to get away from it all, I am back to taking walks all around the city of Salem.
Oh, that's so productive too.
I wish
Right?
that was my thing.
Yeah. Next week it might be eating Cheetos. So
Hey,
Mhm.
we flux, we
Yeah,
move with
right.
life. Stephen, how about
Thinking.
you?
Stephen. I don't remember my favorite teacher's name, but he taught 1960s in high school, and he was just like really. I know. Take that in,
That's
everyone.
upsetting.
during the
Above-
mid 1900s.
Right.
Yeah, he taught 1960s history, and he was just really cool. And I think he also experienced it, which was nice. It was just a really cool class. And I go for drives, so it's
Mm.
everywhere from going up to Acadia or just like driving Memorial Drive to Boston. Just drives.
Nice.
Yeah, it's peaceful. I can sing if I want to.
Right? No one's going to
Listen to
tell you.
something, yeah.
You get to pick your own music. I
Yep.
love that.
hmm
Or podcast.
Yes.
this one.
Like this one, MQOA Sunday found on Apple Podcasts.
That's My name is Margot Morin, as we said. My favorite teacher was probably my music teacher in high school. She was like the choir director, Mrs. Franklin. She was just amazing. I don't know where she is now, but she left a real impression on me. I had a lot of good teachers, so. And when I want to get away from it all, I have a napping bed on our front porch.
You do.
I do. Which
It's not, is it a Murphy bed?
it is not.
Oh.
Thanks for asking. No, it's just permanently down. We built it on old cabinets as the foundation, so it's also storage, and then put a platform bed on top of that. So you just, oh, I could go on. It's really lovely.
I think they call those sleeping porches in New England. Don't they?
Yes, that's true.
I want that.
My grandmother had a
My
sleeping
friend on
porch.
Federal Street has one.
Really?
It's right off of
See?
her bedroom.
Oh, okay.
It's another place to sleep.
Yeah, because when you didn't have air conditioning, right?
Yes.
You'd sleep outside
That's what we did
on
growing
the
up
porch.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So see, we've already learned something. All right. Last but not least, you ready?
Yes. My favorite teacher was never my teacher. It's very tricky.
Oh.
So she was my aunt, and she was a teacher
Oh,
at a local
okay.
school, but I never had her as a teacher personally.
We'll allow that loophole.
And little story about her is once, as a very angsty teen, I told her, sometimes I just get so mad and I just feel like screaming. I don't know what to do with these feelings. And she said, then why don't you just scream? And she screamed really loud.
No way.
Amazing.
And that was just sort of a nice thing.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with these feelings? And sometimes you just let them out.
Well,
So
I
it was kind
love
of a nice
that.
little lesson from her.
You're not going to
Uh,
scream now.
Not yet. no.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't want to.
Just
Be
give us
aware.
a
Hurt my
little
own
warning.
ears.
Yes, exactly.
Mute the room.
And where do you go
Yeah.
when you'd love to get away from it all?
Any place where I can move. So usually the Salem
Oh.
Y or pond swimming or ocean swimming or
Nice.
Yeah.
paddleboarding, anything. And I have to move. I
Okay.
don't do well when I'm moving for a long time.
Same. I'm the opposite. I'm like fetal position.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sleeping.
Yeah.
Murphy bed. Yeah.
Sleeping porch.
Not a Murphy bed, America. The other question we like to ask our guests the first time here is, who are you and how did you get in here? Which is our really rude way of asking what brought you to MQOA? How did you get sort of involved in the parish? What's your life like here?
Well, my kids have both been baptized in the parish. So since 2002 when my son was born, but before that I was volunteering also in the CCD program for
Mhm.
a number of years, even before I had kids.
Okay.
Yeah. And I live close by. I lived close by to Immaculate Conception, and then I moved, and now I live close by to
Oh.
St. James.
Wow.
I mean, if you're in
Pretty good
Salem,
review.
odds are you're near
Yeah,
one or the
one or
other,
the other, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Okay. But you have I'm going to just pick on Trevor a little bit because you have a son who is away at college
Mhm.
and he's having sort of a faith thing with you. You did Alpha last year, right?
We did.
And Trevor kind of snuck in.
He
didn't
snuck
he?
into the Alpha. He was
Yeah.
eavesdropping, and then eventually he came into the room, and then eventually he was sitting on my chair.
That's awesome.
What are they talking
Yes.
about? And
Love
That
it.
was so cool.
So-
I was in
it
your group
happened
just
very organically. I didn't.
so
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
I didn't have him chained to the desk or anything.
No. I will pinch you if you move.
Yeah.
That one week, I think your small group leader was out, and I just jumped in your
Mhm.
group, and he was there
Mm.
on the screen, and it was like, oh, that's so hey,
Yeah.
Trevor, a surprise guest.
Yeah, he enjoyed it a lot. He learned a lot from it.
Yeah, and now he's involved in campus ministry.
He
That's
is.
cool.
He's very involved in campus ministry, and they
awesome.
do some really cool things at St. Michael's with campus
Mm.
ministry. Yeah,
Mhm.
they take him to really nice places.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Wow.
Very nice retreats.
Oh,
They're near St. Anne's Shrine.
oh yeah. Oh, I've never been there. I need to go up there.
Yeah,
That-
it's really nice. Nice
Okay.
outdoor place to worship.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for giving us the perfect segue in today's reading.
Nice.
Here's how beta works in general. We read the gospel once. Usually one volunteer reads it the first time. We take a minute just to kind of soak it in, think about it. You can even ask God to give you something from that reading, a word, an image, a phrase that God wants you to be thinking about or hear in a special way this week. Then we'll someone else will read it again. Sometimes it sounds very different in someone else's voice. So we'll read through it again, and then we just have conversation. I have some like facts and figures that go behind the scenes, so you're not expected to know anything, which is the beauty of beta. And we have some discussion questions to cover, and that's the deal. So, anyone want to read the gospel the first time? Anyone feeling reedy? Stephen does not.
I don't mind.
Great. Christine, do you want to read it the second time? Sure. I volunteer you.
Perfect.
All
I am
right.
tribute.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. The apostles gathered together with Jesus and reported all they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." People were coming and going in great numbers, and they had no opportunity to even eat. So they went off in the boat by themselves to a deserted place. People saw them leaving, and many came to know about it. They hastened there on foot from all the towns and arrived at the place before them. When he disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things.
Beautiful. Take a minute, soak that in. See what stands out to you in that reading. Spend a little time in prayer. Whenever you're ready.
The apostles gathered together with Jesus and reported all they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." People were coming and going in great numbers, and they had no opportunity even to eat. So they went off in the boat by themselves to a deserted place. People saw them leaving, and many came to know about it. They hastened there on foot from all the towns and arrived at the place before them. When he disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd. He began to teach them many things.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. Just off the top of your head, while we were taking that 30 seconds of silence that I think I mostly talked through, what struck you? Was there a word or an image or a phrase in there that kind of just poked at your brain or heart?
The first thing for me, they had no opportunities even to eat. I think that comes from my Italian background. And my first thought was, is this the loaves and fishes? But
Okay. All right.
eating is huge in my family, and we make fun of my aunt that says, "Did you eat?" Even though I have a plate full of food.
Right.
So in your mind, you were already planning the meal plan that you would present to
Oh.
them.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
The
yes.
appetizers down to the desserts.
Yes.
Right. I'll
This is
order.
what they need
Right,
to fortify
right.
them.
I like that. What about anyone else? Anything off the top of your head?
The imagery was real strong with me this week through this one. And just, Jesus stepping off the boat, especially, and just being like, "Oh, there you all are. Hi."
Mhm.
Oh, that's interesting, right? That's you're sort of tapping into what his mood maybe was at
Yeah.
this interruption. He's been interrupted, I think, every gospel for the last 4 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
Jesus interrupted.
Yeah. Yes,
Coming out
that's
soon.
the name of my next book.
That's a good podcast.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Write that down. How about you, Cindy? Anything off the top of your head?
Just the phrase "sheep without a shepherd" caught me. It
Mm.
just made me a bit emotional, just thinking and visualizing what was going on. Just
Oh.
that he felt pity for them,
Yeah.
that they were sheep without a shepherd, so nobody was there to guide them.
Right.
But they were clearly following, so
Right.
yeah.
Not even following. They were going ahead of him, right?
Right.
They were like, "Wow."
What's next? What's next?
Right. I've been this morning on New Yorker Radio Hour. They were talking about the Free Britney movement
Mhm.
and about all the crowds that followed her around. And I kind of get that feeling from this gospel. He's been crossing the Sea of Galilee. He's been preaching in places. He's been healing in places. Always there are crowds coming at him.
Mm.
And he says here, let's take a break. let's go take a break. But even that gets interrupted
Yeah.
by this crowd.
Margot, I have a question about, because pity also was a something for me. But what's the Greek word? Because I know, like for me, pity is like he feels bad,
Right.
and I hope that he wouldn't feel bad for them. I guess
I know it's kind of a
Like,
condescending
yeah,
word, right? Like, "Ugh,
Right.
you poor
Yeah.
jerks, right?
right.
But you're right. Another translation for that would be compassion. He felt
Oh, okay.
compassion for them,
Mm.
which is actually a beautiful. I love the word compassion because it means
Mm.
like to feel passion with, right? It's
Mhm.
it's like, oh, it's like a
Yeah.
gut feeling that Jesus is having. Like his heart is being broken for them because they're wandering. They're looking for
Yeah.
leadership, right? They're
They're
looking for
thirsty.
answers and probably healing. He's been healing. They're following him around, bumping into him in crowds. And
He's not doing a good job if he really wants to lay low, because he's like healing, he's preaching. Is the next one going to be fishes and loaves? Gospel?
so
Spoiler alert.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
In Mark, there is no Sermon on the Mount,
Which is where that
which is kind
happens.
of where that all happens. So there isn't, Mark doesn't tell the story of the Sermon on the Mount, but John does. So
Okay.
next week, we're actually taking a side trip into the Gospel of John
Oh,
to
interesting.
to do the loaves and fishes.
Okay. Again, not doing a great job of staying low.
True. I mean, you
But
could
that's his
say
ministry, yeah.
you could say the same about Brittany, right?
Right.
She's just trying to live her life.
Right, that's true.
He was
Hashtag
the celebrity
free
of his time.
Right. He's doing what he does.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You can't not be you,
I mean, that is a great visual. Christine, were you thinking like crowds following? What was your visual thing that you mentioned?
Kind of, just the like getting there, and eventually you can see the shore, and eventually he can see the crowd and starts to be like, this was supposed to be our retreat when we came over here by ourselves without the vast crowd. Look, there they are, the
There they
vast
are.
crowd, and docking and stepping off and kind of just right back into it.
Mm.
This
Yeah.
deserted place is very populous.
It
Very
said
true.
deserted on the brochure.
Yes.
I am giving it
Glad
one
he wasn't
star.
a Karen about
Right.
that.
Who tweeted my location?
Yeah.
Says Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love, we talk a lot about like what's Jesus feeling, kind of what's his tone of voice when he says things, and he says, he talks about his mood here. He says, oh, my heart is breaking. I feel it in my gut for these people. And I love that Christine always finds the place where Jesus is sighing. I think that's a gift of an
Yes.
insight for you, right?
Yeah.
You always find the exasperated sigh,
Exactly. That will be my religious order at one point.
right? What do you have a
Christine-
title, right?
Christine of the Deep Sigh of Jesus.
Love it.
I love that.
So good.
I love that. I relate to a sighing Jesus too. That works for me. Who just said retreat? I think Christine just mentioned
Christine,
retreat, and you mentioned retreats in talking about Trevor, who's not here to defend himself. But I wonder, have you all been on retreat?
Yes.
What's your experience of retreat?
Profound. I've had really great retreats.
Yeah.
So, starting from high school, and hearing witness talks of people my age going, like their parents going through divorce or going through mental health issues, and just at first realizing that I'm not alone in it, and that in a safe space too, to really profound spiritual retreats as well, just being feeling God's love and feeling peace. And there was a point in my high school where I was like, when's the next retreat? Like I was kind of like
yeah.
a person that wanted to set tents up.
You were a
on
retreat
mountain.
junkie.
Yeah, because I always was like reaching the high of being so close to God. But yeah, I love retreats. I think I haven't done it in a while, in my older 20s.
In your young
But-
adult life.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's say that.
Yeah, we'll edit that out. But I do love retreats. I do the moments worshiping and silence and all that. So I have really good fun things about retreats.
Christine and I both did Search Retreat in
I was
high
going to say,
school.
who's going to
We're
bring it
like
up first?
Search sisters. I was in Maine. You were
In Ohio.
in Ohio. Who
Yeah.
knew? But Search was like the big retreat of my high school time up in the Diocese of Portland, and it did change my life in all the ways. You know, all the fact that I'm here today is a direct result of that search retreat.
Hmm.
And it was about like, what does God want for you? What's God's plan for you? Still something I'm figuring out, but
Yeah.
there was something about getting away. I was with complete strangers. I didn't know anyone before we got there, literally no one. And it came out changed. There was something about going away, I think, that makes retreats what they are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I went through that, had profound experiences, went away from the church for a really long time and Jesus, but that kept me grounded and I think gave me the foundation to wrestle with.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so, it's kind of, one could see that as a failure, but I'm like, no, in retrospect, I think it did more than I think it did.
Yeah.
It really invited me, or I think retreats are where I learned to actually talk to God and have a relationship with God, even if it was that of an angry daughter at sometimes. So
I agree. Yeah, it was
Mhm.
for me. It was more like just being open and being okay with being open.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely the great foundation. So I would recommend.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's even like if it's not even a God-centered retreat, just like that whole idea of just like getting away from all responsibilities just for a short time to
Mhm.
focus on yourself is really powerful.
Really taking
be.
a Sabbath, right?
Yeah.
Just giving yourself that time that's set aside
Mhm.
to step away. Have you done a retreat?
I actually haven't. No.
Okay. We'll fix that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
There is a
My parish growing up, we were part of the school, we were part of the church. It
Okay.
was all every
Oh, okay.
time we would get together, it was kind of like that
Right.
anyway.
So it was sort of infused through the whole
Yeah.
experience there.
Yeah.
Did Trevor go on a retreat? We won't talk about him the whole
He
time.
has.
He's
He
going to have to
loves
come and
it.
be a guest here.
He loves it. I
think
think what
so.
he liked about it, from what he's told me, is just being around other people who have similar interests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it just reinforces that you aren't alone and other people have similar beliefs. and
Definitely.
It strengthens your own to be in that situation.
Mm-hmm. For
Yeah,
sure.
it wipes everything away so you can really focus on like
Mm.
the core, the foundation of what you believe and who you are. It's,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten into a habit now of doing a 3-day silent retreat in January around the Feast of the Epiphany, which is, I think, ironic.
I was
And
wondering why
not
you weren't
on
responding
purpose.
to me during that time.
That's right. I'm sorry. I was
Like,
off the
nope.
grid. And I go, like, you can go on a directed retreat, so you can go and meet with a spiritual director throughout the weekend or week or however long you go. Or you can just like step away and be silent and be by yourself for a few days, which is what I like to do. And it's always also around my anniversary of coming to Salem. So I always have something to kind of think about and mull over, like sort of examine the last year and think about the future. I always bring a stack of books to read and a journal, and oh, I love it. I love it. I go up to the Notre Dame Spirituality Center, which is, even on January 5th or 6th, so warm there because it's a nursing home. And I'm not in the nursing home part,
gotta
but
turn the heat up though.
it is so warm there that I'm wearing like a tank top and pajama, because it's just like it's like a sort of a combination retreat / sweat lodge
Sauna.
/ fat
Yeah.
camp, because the food is not great there. So I always come out like a couple pounds down,
Yeah.
and several books up.
I couldn't do that.
You don't think?
A silent retreat? No.
Why?
Too many demons. No, just kidding. I
How you work them out.
I know. I'm not there yet. But I think I do like. I think I need to do one, not a silent one, but one with peers that are not too Catholic. I like the smell of the sheep.
Yep.
And so I would like to just explore a little bit more.
Although if you do go to Campion, they have really good food.
Oh,
Campion.
really?
Is that in Weston?
Yeah.
Okay.
So does Spencer.
Spencer, okay.
does the,
Oh, yeah.
One day
They're
we
better.
hope to have retreats here.
We are
you know,
working our
to
way up
increase
to
it there.
alpha overnight retreats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So don't worry.
No,
It's
there's
coming.
nowhere.
You've got
It's coming.
in the future.
Yeah. the meaning of the word translated rest, which I cannot pronounce, which is like Sabbath, conveys the sense to stop.
Hmm.
Stop, it would suggest like stop yourself from doing so much. So
Oh, wow.
right? Other meanings of the verb deal with anticipated results from the stoppage, to rest, to be physically refreshed, to sleep. And the only other time Mark has Jesus mentioning the word rest in the gospel is in the garden when he says, are you still sleeping and taking your rest? Enough. The hour has come. So two sides of that coin. Like, okay, there's a time to rest and a time to wake up and get going. But I kind of love that. Oh, Stephen's yawning because we're talking about rest
Yes,
so much.
yes, it's on point.
It's very.
No one yawned after he yawned yet.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
It was.
Trying to hide
That's
it.
true because we're not taking you seriously. We don't believe it.
It looked like fake yawn to me.
Yes, yeah. You got to commit.
Why do we think that Jesus needed to go to a deserted place? Is it rest? Is it he wanted to teach his disciples? Is it
In my mind, I see it as a time to just regroup. Where you've been followed for so long and been this, attracting people and crowds and just to regroup.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you're in a crowded place and you just need to just like pull back for a while.
Definitely. I am
Take
like
a
that.
few breaks.
Especially after COVID. Like,
Totally.
I'm so close to people now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just had a whole conversation with the healing team when we met yesterday that like after praying for people, you're really tired. And so Jesus being pure love and healing, I can just imagine how drained he was because like after 90 minutes, I'm like, okay, I need to eat and a nap and
and sigh?
and sigh.
And does do a
So
deep,
much sighing.
deep sigh.
I like that because any time to make Jesus more human is I'm game.
Yeah. But I think too, in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus prays this way often. We hear about Jesus leaving, going somewhere to be set apart a little bit for prayer. So this maybe is his prayer style. Maybe he's getting away to just get a chance to connect with God too.
It's not the first time he's disappeared on them.
That's right. That's right.
A little unpredictable here.
Yep, totally.
Well, they just stopped
What would
sleeping.
Jesus do? He would leave and go
Right.
rest.
He would hide in a deserted place. Exactly.
until everyone found him.
Right.
But I think isn't that a great message? Like, oh, it is okay to stop and take care of yourself.
Yes.
I think so too. Yeah.
But also, in the other end, he doesn't teach people. So, like, even though you do need to rest, there are people to serve.
Yeah.
And I want to know.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to know what he taught them. What was the syllabus
What do you think he taught them?
about rest? Maybe
About how to leave Jesus
Is
alone.
Right.
Yeah, personal boundaries.
There's a deserted place just down the road. I recommend. What do you think he taught him? Like, it doesn't say he healed people, right? Which is what he's been doing. So he's sort of preaching here. What do you think he was teaching them?
I want to have the right answer.
There's no right answer because
Right.
nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody
So
knows. He could be. I mean, if he's been doing a lot of healing, like doing stuff, maybe he's explaining it, or the reasons, or giving it more meat.
yeah,
but
that
not
makes sense to me.
It must have been a lot because
Teaches them. He
Mark
taught them
doesn't
many
cover
things,
it.
right?
Yeah, many things.
Did you notice that the apostles at the beginning came and told him what they had taught, what they had done and taught? Remember, they were sent
They were
out
sent
two
out.
by two.
Okay, so they were doing a little recap.
A little, this is a regrouping.
Yeah.
And actually, the way the story's told in the gospel, the apostles are sent out, and then we hear the story of John the Baptist, his death. And then the apostles come back and say, oh, Jesus, let me tell you what we did on our summer vacation,
They must
on
have
our
been so
mission
proud.
trip. I'm sure.
2 and 2, locking hands, skipping down back
Right?
to Jesus.
That's such a great visual.
Like Oz, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Is that, okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Oz.
not Wizard of Oz, but like Oz, right? What's the
The prison drama?
no, no, with like Michael Jackson and Diana
Oh,
Ross.
oh,
Wiz?
The Wiz, the
The
Wiz.
Wiz.
They're like
Skipping.
jumping on down the road. I don't know what it is.
There's an 80s reference for you. Want to
They're
go
more
home.
groovy than say Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Oh gosh, what happened?
I don't know. My coffee just moved across the table by
Oh.
itself in the water.
It's a miracle.
If you only watch it on Sundays,
That's
you'll see
right.
it. With no audio there.
Levitation. Okay. So what do you think? Do you have an idea about what Jesus was teaching?
Something very inspirational. If I think he saw how desperate they were to follow him
Mhm.
and was moved by that, compassionate, I think that he would probably give them something
Something to hang on
to
to.
hang on to.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really preaching
A hook.
when he's teaching,
Mhm.
right? It's kind of the same thing. And it doesn't say really what he taught them. But again, like we said, the Sermon on the Mount isn't in this gospel. It's kind of hinted that this might be
Okay.
what happened next. He taught them many things, and there are lots of things in that sermon.
Because the Gospels there's 4 Gospels and there's 4 takes of
Mhm.
his life.
Yeah.
So Mark just says many things while John goes into more
Spells
detail.
them all out. Right.
Here are the things.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
By the way.
One to
Like
know the
John
things.
better.
Exactly. One thing I would love for everyone to know is when you're reading any book of the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, Gospels, it's written to tell a story, obviously, but it's written by a particular person in a particular time and context for a particular reader, right? So you can read the Gospels sort of flat out and think, oh, that's interesting. But learning a little bit about kind of the context of where it's happening in the story, like here, knowing that he's probably wanting to get away, maybe because he's heard that John the Baptist has died. Right?
Oh, okay.
So there's a little context there that makes
Was
it
not
just
just
a
died,
little
but
bit
murdered.
murdered.
Yeah.
Yep. So reading these in a context, knowing who they're, maybe written to or written by and when can be really helpful to teach us more about Jesus, which is the whole point.
That's why I ask all those questions.
do.
I'm like when, how, who.
You love that stuff.
I do, because it does make me, for me, it makes it more real and makes it more human. So that's my goal, and to make sense of it. Because like we wouldn't be using sheep and shepherds. We would be using something
Right.
like subscribers or
Right. Oh.
something.
Huh.
Subscribers without an influencer.
Yes, there you go. Right,
I am horrified.
Christine. I can't believe you got that. That's great.
That's good. That's very good.
Miracle.
Let myself out.
No, that's good. No, that's exactly what it is, right?
Well,
So,
you mentioned the sheep and shepherd kind of touching your heart and hearing that. What do you think it was about that kind of touched you?
I think it was just visualizing the crowd and the fact that they were following so intently without any awareness that they were just like putting him under the microscope
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
doing so.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been watching a lot of religious movies lately, like the story of Born or Dead, and
Oh,
it also
classic.
reminds me of the things that have happened in those stories where
Mhm.
those people have had mass crowds following them.
Right. And it always gets hard.
It's so
At that
you
point,
see
right?
that it's hard on the family.
Yeah.
It's hard the dynamics in the family and how that impacts them. And can't you just not do this?
Yeah.
Right. Let's just not talk about it.
Mhm. And
right?
the people in the community and how they react. So
Yeah.
I
yeah.
think that's why I visualize it, because I've been watching movies like that lately.
Right. Is
Mhm.
in your vision, is it black and white?
It is.
Is it on Turner Classic Movies right now?
Mhm.
These people, why were they following him, right? What have they heard about him?
Mm.
That he's brought people back from the dead. Like
Right.
he's healed people who have been chronically ill their whole life. He's brought back people who were shunned by society. Like the people who are following him, they're not just probably just not curious, right? They're probably in deep, deep need for healing, one way or another.
Mhm.
So when they're imagine the energy of a crowd who's coming at you with that much need, right?
Yeah.
The word popping in my head is desperation.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like negatively, but just to kind of see, like that crush of humanity that really needs something from you.
Mhm.
And like you said, kind of the pity, the compassion that sort of jumps out, even if you're exhausted. Oof.
Yeah.
Right? It feels weighty.
I think too they've been waiting for a Messiah for so long as
Mhm.
part of their faith, and all of a sudden they've got people like, "Oh, I think this
Think this
might
may
be
be
him."
him.
Right. What?
Oh, really? You think where is he? I'd like to see him.
Yeah, right?
And then the word spreads.
Yeah. People who
They're excited.
this is
too.
complete like conjecture, but these might be people who think, oh, if the Messiah is coming, then the world must be ending,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So there may be some like urgency to go and
Mhm.
find him and
Yeah.
learn what you can from him.
But he, in the second part with the sheep, like he saw the need,
Mm.
right? This wasn't just like another test by the Pharisees. Like he saw the need of the people,
Mhm.
and then began to teach them. So even though he wanted rest or needed rest or to regroup, he still put the need of the community first, which is really nice.
Yeah.
That's that compassion over pity, I think.
Mm.
To be fair,
To be fair,
he only had to do this for 3 years, right? His
That's
ministry
true.
was pretty short.
He had
He would
Easy
not
30
have,
years.
right? He would not have seen this is my sympathy for the minister in the story.
How long
right?
have you been with MQOA?
7.5.
yeah.
And you know what? As a minister or as a person who does healing or who cares for people or who
Mhm.
is like a caretaker in our family,
Parents and others.
absolutely. Like I think Jesus is showing us that it's just human. You just need to take a break,
Mhm.
reconnect with God,
Mhm.
feel your feelings, right?
Mhm.
Be restored. And I'm almost like frustrated with him that he interrupts that time to help all these people who interrupt him and ask him for things,
Mhm.
because I can see that's not healthy. that's not
It's
good
codependency,
self-
Jesus.
That's right.
I wonder if there were some like cracks in his sermon as a result of not having gotten that
Right.
rest that he needed. Kind of
Right.
like a new parent when you have a baby who's
Right.
been screaming and screaming and screaming, and
Yes.
they finally get to sleep, and
Yep.
then they're screaming in 5 minutes. Like,
yeah.
no, that wasn't enough. I
Right.
can't help you right now. I need more sleep.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which has totally never happened to me.
No, of course, of course.
All of a sudden, I'm like, and that's why he just took everything out on that poor fig tree at that
Oh
point.
my gosh.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
just like,
Is that coming up?
I don't
I don't know, but it just
Yeah.
always strikes me as such a Jesus
For those that don't know,
killed the tree.
he
He cursed it.
He cursed it.
He
Cursed
passed
the
by
fig tree.
a fig tree and curses it because it doesn't have fruit. He's just like, zap.
Yeah.
Right? And it is
Okay.
this mysterious moment. But
So, I like
yeah, maybe
table
that's it.
flipping Jesus and fig-
Tree
ki-
cursing.
Yeah.
Jesus as well.
Ties
Okay,
the tree.
you're starting to develop a type
Mhm.
of the kind of Jesus you're looking for. I wonder if so. Is there anyone in society today that could be those? Who do you see in the world that are like sheep without a shepherd? Can you think? Does anyone pop into your head?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Anyone in particular?
Not. I don't want to say particular, but I think. Yeah. Yes. I think there's a lot of people who don't have a connection to God out there that
Mm.
are spiritually open and spiritually open
Mhm.
and just don't know. They like know there's a higher being, but they maybe don't have a relationship, or they don't know what to believe. And I think the conversion from pity to compassion is
Mhm.
where I need to come in. You know,
Mhm.
like that's what my ministry is.
Mm.
I think there's a lot of lost people out there, but I don't want to put it in a way that like,
You don't want to name the generation.
not the generation, but I don't want to say that like I don't want to pity them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I want to have compassion for them because I
Right.
know that there's something better and greater.
Mhm.
So yes,
Yeah.
I think There's a lot of lost souls out there.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And a lot of people, I think, I was just reading about, I think Gen Xers, if we're going to talk generations, who came into the pandemic with a fairly strong faith, or a reasonably strong faith. And then it's starting to be a little bit generationally, those decreases happen faster and sharper, so that I'm thinking like Gen Xers are want to find their sheep again, their shepherd again, right? They had a shepherd, they lost touch, they want to find them again. Millennials are a little bit wandering, looking for something,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to generalize.
Yeah.
Gen Z, they're not even necessarily aware that there's a shepherd,
Yeah.
right? They don't even notice that they're missing
Mhm.
that in their lives. They feel fine, and maybe they are.
Yeah.
But it's just sort of, I'm thinking generationally about the
Mhm.
differences now, and especially post-COVID, where everything you were kind of sure about is unsure now.
Right.
And Christine, you work with college students.
I do.
Did anything ring true there?
Oh, I think so much, but it's interesting. I think it is less generational and just more developmental stage of that point where you recognize like this very natural thing that we all go through, where you recognize at some point that whether it's institutions, your parents, or what you thought was God doesn't necessarily have all the answers or is perfect, and you get kind of disoriented for a period of time. And then you get a greater and a deeper understanding of, and whether that's who your parents are as people, the good and the bad, or who God really is, not just who you were taught. You go through this period of disorientation and growing, and which is why I love working with college students. So yes. Searching, but that's when they're we're kind of supposed to be.
Yeah. Somewhere in
yeah.
my notes I read that sheep are easily led, is
Mhm.
the thing about sheep. They'll follow anyone.
A dog.
Yeah. Well, they run away from the dog.
Oh.
But yeah, they're pretty easy to manipulate, and they want to follow. It's sort of in their nature to follow whoever is in front of them. And I think without a shepherd, you're just following the next sheep, right? You're just whoever's in front, you're following along. And that can happen to anyone at any age. I feel like you get distracted. You set your sights on something that you think is going to lead you to a good place. You get your hopes up. You, leverage everything to follow something or someone. And sometimes it's just not the right shepherd, or not enough of the shepherd that you need, or not like a solid enough shepherd. That's what I'm thinking. I had a question.
But also, like, do they even trust the shepherd too? I think that's a big issue.
Yeah.
That I would like to navigate and help build that trust.
You are the shepherd's PR guy.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. And I had a conversation with someone this week about about her adult children have kind of stepped away from the church, but they're spiritual. They have a faith. They believe in God, and kind of navigating that time away, which I think so many of us had, and was actually valuable time for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it meant we were able to come back. Did you ever step away in your faith? Did you ever have an off season?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, sounds like some stories there. Yeah. And did it help? Like, do you know what I mean? Did it?
Yeah, I think it's a time where you're figuring things out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you use what you've learned when you come back. You mentioned, I think last week, being away for a while and coming back.
Yeah. And I think there's, I don't know if that was the ultimate path for me or the easiest way to do things, but now I can see how much I can use it. And so I think that's the thing too, is that, whatever happens, the shepherd is still kind of there. We can still kind of make our way back slowly but surely.
Right.
And we know that forgiveness is there.
100%.
Yep.
But that's also makes you guys human too, because it's good to doubt, so then you can really firm up your beliefs too. And those who are listening who are on that edge knows that like we've all been through it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We've all been in the desert for a while, and be able to come back.
I love a person who can ask a good, challenging question. Like that's what makes ministry fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I volunteered for hospice for a short time, and I remember in the spirituality night of the training, they asked us all to kind of tell our faith story. And there was this lovely woman, I think she was maybe a sister, at the other end of the table, and she told her story, and she talked about how her faith is so strong, and it's kept her going through everything. She's never lost faith. And when it came to me, who was working as a minister at the time, I was like, yeah, I don't that's beautiful. I would love to have that kind of faith. Mine is more of a cranky faith. Mine is more of a questioning, whining, demanding sort of faith. But God has used that so many times. You know, God speaks my language, I think, and is as patient with me as I hopefully am with others. I want to talk a little bit about the sheep and shepherd image because it's familiar in the Old Testament. We always kind of say, well, there were sheep everywhere. People will get this analogy, but it also connects back to the Old Testament. In Jeremiah and Psalms, God is pictured as the good shepherd. In fact, we'll hear that psalm at Mass. I think we did last Sunday too. We're hanging out in the Good Shepherd, which emphasized David, who we know as the shepherd boy. Remember David the shepherd boy from your Christmas carols? No? Beyond these, the phrase sheep without a shepherd is found in the book of Numbers, in the book of 1 Kings, Ezekiel, which talks about the sheep being scattered and unprotected. It's talking really about Israel. So there would have been still some subtext in there for the readers who are somehow associated, whether they're Jewish or sort of physical neighbors to Israel. Jesus, I just want to make sure we get this. This is also stated in the only other place where Mark where the sheep and shepherd is used is a quote of Zechariah. So Jesus is yelling at someone and says, "You will become deserters, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered." So there's this like very cool textual thing where Jesus is referring back to the Old Testament where there's a threat that that the shepherd will be killed and everyone will scatter. And here Jesus is the good shepherd, right?
Bringing it in.
Bringing everyone together. Kind of neat. Little literary thing there.
So he was sending messages in his sermons for the insiders.
So he knew who he was talking.
Yeah.
He knew his audience,
Right.
right? But also Mark knew Mark's audience, or the author
okay.
of the Gospel of Mark, which I should know more trivia about. But yeah, the writer's speaking to particular people who would know that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like a little secret analogy, or not so secret to us, but not to them because they would have known it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Very cool. We'd love to hear from our viewers. We'd love to hear what's poking out at you, the questions you have. And just even if you want to share your story about a time that you stepped away, that you followed a wrong shepherd, or how you found connection to the Good Shepherd, we'd love to hear that too. Do you have a takeaway from today's gospel?
I always love this one, or any time Jesus again is sighing, because I think I often feel fairly exhausted, as a therapist or, kind of working within the church. And I just love the reminder that like, it's okay and you can rest and then you can keep going. Like it just, I need this probably pasted on a wall so that I can just keep doing that.
You're going to run out of wall space.
Pretty much.
All the things you're putting up there. This can be in the charter of your religious
Yes.
organization you're putting together
Possibly tattooed.
of the
on
deep
Oh.
sigh. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Now we're talking. Do you have a takeaway from today?
I'm actually thinking about the hike I took this weekend and how someone in our hiking party did not want to continue and she needed rest.
Not that we're naming names.
Nope.
No,
Yeah.
but it made me think of sometimes you do know you do need that rest,
Yeah.
but sometimes you also have no choice but to still push ahead,
Mm.
which happens a lot in life.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah. Yep.
Gotta
And
do
right. And Jesus, I mean, if we're example Jesus's example here, he's moving ahead because his heart is calling him to,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Right.
His heart is aching for something. And I think that is sort of how God moves us forward
Mm-hmm.
when we want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
How God can really inspire us to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
On the beta lesson this week,
You have that video.
there's a video linked.
Oh, it's a video. Okay.
Yeah, it's a video pulling a sheep out of a trench.
Oh gosh.
And this sheep, he tugs and tugs and tugs, pulls him out of this trench. The sheep shakes it off, bounces twice, and jumps back into the trench. And it's just like, oh, I can so relate to that. I love that.
When I saw it, it was titled "When Jesus Saves Me from Myself."
Yes.
And it was
Oh my gosh. We'll
Exactly.
play it on the video.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. But I want to also share a quote that's in the lesson this week. And this is from Catholic Women Preach, which is, have you seen that website? It's through Boston College, I think, or from Boston College. And it's just awesome women preachers every week talking about the Gospels. The preacher said, the compassion and mercy of Jesus, his heart, moved him to be with people and to minister to all that were there in this chaotic scene of people coming in great numbers to form a vast crowd surrounding both him and his disciples. He began to teach them many things. This same heart ministers to us today. The same heart that is moved with kindness and concern comes to us quietly when we need Jesus the most. This same heart who loves us beyond all our imaginings and dreaming is with us intimately, entering into every moment of our lives. This same heart is present with us today and is willing to teach us many things. The invitation is always there. Love that. Just
That's awesome.
reminding us of God's availability to us
Hmm.
to take advantage of.
I work a lot on my feet. I celebrate Mass on my feet. A lot of times when I visit people, whether it's in the hospital or when I encounter people after or before Mass, I'm on my feet. And I also am on my feet when I'm exercising and doing a lot of things actually as a priest. So it's great to be able to, as Jesus says in the Gospel, to come away by yourselves to rest a while. And when I go on vacation, the truth is, that's what I do. I sit down and I read, or I use the iPad for games like everybody else. And to go to some place that's far away, kind of distance from people, whether it's by the side of the ocean or off in the woods a little bit, as we are today, it's just a great way to recognize that the Lord is here with us. I think that's part of the reason why it's so refreshing, because we find the Lord not only, of course, in one another and certainly in the person of Jesus Christ, but also in nature. God, who intended to breathe all these things into being, also allows us to see them as a way of relaxing and resting in His presence. The psalmist today says that the Lord's our shepherd, and He leads us. He leads us in our work if we allow Him. He'll lead us in our play if we allow Him, and He'll lead us in our rest and recovery if we allow Him. And so this day, as we gather the day of rest, the Sabbath, I hope that you too will be able to find rest. First, to find rest in the Lord and to recognize that He's our shepherd. We follow Him both to action and we follow Him to relaxing. We find Him both in our encounter in our work, but also in the encounter of nature and the encounter of the Lord when we move away to rest, to fill ourselves up, whether it's through reading the Bible or praying out somewhere or going on retreat, all of it, again, to follow the Lord wherever he leads us as our master and shepherd. We also recognize, though, in the second part of the gospel that there'll always be work to do. There'll always be people who are needy. There will always be people who are hurting in some way. There will always be people who are in need of the sacraments, in need of counsel, in need of formation. And thanks be to God, Jesus is on the job all the time, and others around us also, whether it's our staff here at Mary, Queen of the Apostles, or wherever you are, that hopefully you have good shepherds and those who are working in collaboration in the church to bring about discipleship, to bring about the message of growth in the church and belief in Jesus Christ. We continue to be together. I hope that, and we'll pray for that, your ability to step away a little bit, to rest in the Lord, so that you might be filled up with his presence and grace and be able to go out again and to work with the Lord in imitation of Christ.
Okay. So if you have a prayer intention, we love to pray for you. So you can head to mqoa.org/healing, find out a little bit about healing, but also send in your prayer requests. And we have a wonderful healing and prayer team that prays for that. So please send your prayer requests. And you can find out really everything that we do here at MQOA at mqoa.org. So thank you for doing that. We're going to end in prayer, but I just want to say that you can follow us on our website. We do have masses in Salem, and we have many programs coming up in the future for Alpha, from people who are in marriage course or pre-marriage course. So there's a lot of great things we're doing here in the parish, and we'll be doing them hybrid. So we'll be able to be in person, but also be able to access it online. So no matter where you are in the world, you can join us in these programs. And please, I was going to say like and subscribe, but we're an audio podcast, so please rate and review so that we can share this with someone who might need it.
Yeah, we love our goal is really to engage with you. We
Mhm.
want to hear from you. We want to pray for you. We want to know how we can be helping you get to know the Good Shepherd better. So please do join us one way or another. Okay, Cindy, thank you so much for joining us for
Thank
your
you for
first
having me.
time. You're so brave.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
brave and bold. And Christine, again, thank you for coming back,
Happy to be here.
for being willing to do this again.
I believe next week we'll have two new guests.
Two new
I
guests.
believe.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yay.
From our community. So
You are.
faces.
We may come calling to you
Yes.
to be a guest
The
on this
whole
show. So
list. Yeah.
thank you so
Nice.
much. If you don't mind, would love to close us in prayer.
Please do.
Do it.
All right, let's pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God, Good Shepherd, thank you for taking the time to step away from the world to focus on our needs, to hear our prayers, to hear our intentions. God, we follow you because you know us and we know you. We know that our needs are first in your mind. And so we offer you those needs today. And we ask you to care for us, but also for the people that we love. And we know, God, we gratefully acknowledge your care for the people who need you the most, people in need, in our families, in our neighborhoods and communities, and in the world. We lay those needs at your feet. And we thank you for hearing them. Thank you, God, for our conversation today. Thank you for the ways you're going to keep speaking to us this week through the gospel, through the people we meet, through the conversations we have, and let us be great PR for the Good Shepherd in the world. Keep us safe and blessed until we meet again. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Have a great week.